I decided to make this video because I've been asked on Instagram a few times through direct messages what I use for my GoPro settings, what GoPro I use, a lot of things concerning the footage that I shoot. And this is a super valid question, because when I first got my GoPro, the footage looked like this. That's the fastest I've ever gone, guys. So, as you can tell, that footage is less than ideal for motovlogging, extreme sports, vlogging, all the things this camera claims to be. It isn't when it first comes to your doorstep. You open it up, super excited, you're going to become the next biggest motovlogger, and then you get this. It's super disappointing. So I decided I would just kind of go through and compile a list of settings that I use for my GoPro to get the footage I get. And you can choose to take this with a grain of salt, to use every setting, you know, whatever you want to do. But I guarantee that if you use these settings, your footage will be a hell of a ton better than it is when you first get your GoPro. Now, I'm using the GoPro Hero 4 Black Edition. I'm using this primarily for motovlogging because I don't have to use a mic adapter, which is super key. Like, if you guys are thinking about motovlogging, which I know a lot of you guys are, the GoPro Hero 4 is awesome. Like, I would recommend that to anyone, because first of all, you don't have to have a mic adapter. Everything's super cheap. Batteries are cheap, ND filters are cheap, casings are cheap, and everything's super readily available. And you can get this camera for like 150 bucks. And you can get a lot of these cameras instead of getting like one $400 GoPro Hero 7 with a big bulky mic adapter that they don't even sell. So if you get one of those mic adapter, like one of the GoPros without the mic adapter, you can't motovlog. You're stuck like using external sources and stuff, and it takes the fun out of it. So I highly recommend the GoPro Hero 4. It's getting a little steamy in my helmet. Ugh, that's much better. Oh, you gotta get in this lane. So if you don't do anything in this list, and you just take one of my tips or my settings, the first thing would be to set your frame rate at 24 frames per second. This is going to add a nice motion blur to the edges of your video. And if you don't do 24 frames per second and you go for something like 60 because you see a bigger number and you're like, that's awesome, bigger number means better, you know, we're in America, hell yeah. You're gonna be stuck with footage that looks way too smooth. The reason they use 60 frames per second in a lot of video games and a lot of things like that is because it allows you to see what's going around and what's happening around you, like to the most extreme extent, which is great in Call of Duty or something like that. But when you're on a motorcycle, that's not how you see the things around you. You see them with kind of motion blur, and with the motion blur, it adds this feeling that you're going fast. With 60 frames per second, you see everything, so it just kind of feels like you're just kind of going. It doesn't have that same feel that 24 frames per second has. So I'm shooting in 1080p, and why I do this is because at 4K the camera has to do so much more work, so you have to charge the battery more often, you get less footage, your SD card gets full way faster, and last I checked, almost no one is watching 4K footage on YouTube. So that's what I shoot in. Plain and simple. You can choose whichever, you know, whichever quality setting you want, but I'm just warning against 4K because it takes like triple the amount of storage, triple the amount of battery. Missed a shift there. And really, it's just not worth it. I love a Miata. You're awesome. That is so cool. That's the car I was gonna get before I got this. It's very different. The problem I've been having is these street lights go off of like a weight system or something. I don't know if it's the same everywhere, but I didn't have this problem in Sandpoint. But what's happening is when I pull up to a light, it doesn't register my motorcycle's weight. So the light like barely ever turns green. It's such a pain in the ass. Now, a setting that a lot of people skip over, and this is really big because I've had the wrong setting for my white balance before, and it just looks so bad. It's either too blue or too, you know, or too orange, or, you know, it's just, if you don't set this correctly, you can totally fuck up your footage, for sure. So the white balance that I'm rocking right now is 5,000 Kelvin. And that's because it's kind of a gloomy day, and I want to give it a little more warmth, but I don't want it to be so warm that it's orange, and I don't want it to be, you know, so cold that it's blue. So if you don't really know what you're doing, it's better to just leave this on auto, because if you have it on custom and you forget to set it, or you don't know what you're doing, you could end up with footage that looks something like this, and you're gonna have just a bad day, you know. You go out and film, you expect your footage to look one way, and it looks like a fucking Oompa Loompa. It's just not good. I actually don't even know where I'm going. I've never seen this part of Seattle ever. Go! Don't back up into me. I've already had that happen once. Dumbass. Dragging a knee. Now, I don't suggest going auto settings on very many things. The white balance is an exception because, you know, you can't be bothered to switch it every day. But for the most part, you're gonna want to do most of the settings manually, because if you don't, you give the camera so many options, and its little pea-sized GoPro brain isn't gonna know what to do with that information. It's like that one friend that always says, I don't know, when you ask him what he wants to do. You're like, come on, you're like, what do you want to do? He's like, I don't know. It's your choice. That's basically what you're doing to the GoPro. It's typically gonna make a bad decision. Oh, they just paved this road, dude. It's so nice. So flickable. Now, with the sharpness of the GoPro, if you leave it on sharp, it's gonna be super sharp. I mean, like, you're gonna be like, oh god, that's sharp as a needle. Like, you don't want your footage to look like that. So I typically keep this on medium. Some people even keep it on low if they're gonna be doing anything more than, like, you know, like anything more than a little tiny edit on their cell phone. But I kind of find that if you leave it at low, you've just got to do too much work to the footage. It's also kind of that fine medium between too much work and too little work, where your footage just looks like complete shit. This is my favorite tunnel. It's so fun. It's like literally 2 miles of just awesomeness. This is like the #1 wheelie space to learn on. Like, I don't know personally how to do a wheelie, like a real wheelie. I've done it once, kind of on accident. But look at this. There's not a single car around here. It's a freaking straightaway. This is awesome. I need to check if my GoPro's still recording. Good, okay. Jesus, that would have been so bad. Oh, I'm sorry, Fart Canister Joe. Was I blocking your way? Where are you even going? Where's this road even lead? It's like, it's a road that goes around in a circle for frickin' ever. If you guys haven't noticed, I've been really trying to pick up my Instagram game and just do better quality photos overall. So let me know what you think, because I really feel like in the last couple of weeks my Instagram posts have been getting really good. Now for the color profile on the GoPro, you're definitely gonna want to pick GoPro color, because the other color is super flat, and I'm really making this video for like beginners. I'm not really making this video for the experts out there. I personally color grade my footage most of the time, but when I'm looking to do like a quick edit, mediumly oversaturated GoPro footage isn't really a big deal to me. It's really like, for me, for YouTube, and for you guys, I want to get the footage out there as fast as I possibly can. I hope that this video helped you guys in whatever you want to do. It doesn't have to be motovlogging, but I hope that the settings I gave you today and what I told you about the GoPro helps you make freaking awesome content. I have a lot of really cool things in the works here at Twowheelwilly. We're doing a whole bunch of awesome videos in the near future. I'm bringing some really cool people on, and I'll have more information for you guys on that over on my Instagram very shortly. We've just got to work out the little kinks. Yeah, so I'm super excited. Make sure to subscribe, hit that bell icon if you want to be notified of my uploads, because there's going to be some really great ones.